Welcome to the Making of YOR, a podcast where we turn ideas into game mechanics for our upcoming tabletop RPG, YOR. If you'd like to stay up to date on the developments of YOR, head over to our Discord. Link is in the description. Hello, hello, hello.
Greetings, salutations,
Welcome back,
faithful listeners,
faithful listener.
all one of you.
Yeah.
This is our first podcast where we recorded it after we put one out to the public.
Yes, this is.
You want to know how far ahead we are? It's this far.
Yeah. I've been releasing like 1, 2, and 3, and
They're just not what's in the game anymore.
they're not like, I'm listening to them and I'm like titling stuff and organizing the data, and I'm looking at it and I'm like,
That's not in it. That's not in it.
nothing here made it into the game. But that is the point.
Yeah, you can watch our iterative process.
The point of the podcast is like we went through a process, and that process included us being wrong,
A lot.
or having ideas that were maybe not bad ideas, but at the end of the day, they didn't fit with the rest of the game.
Yeah, they may have been fine, but they didn't do what we wanted.
Yeah. So, it changes, and that's the nature of it.
But now it's good. Don't worry.
Yes. Well, it's looking real cool, and we're liking talents. We're wanting to do kind of a refinement on this episode. Go through some features we've touched on. Many of these features we've changed in previous episodes already.
Yes.
Or in between episodes, we made some adjustments. But we're getting really close to being done with everything that encompasses Tier 1.
Yeah, it's the things you need to play the game.
So we needed to go back through and try and find like obvious things that don't fit anymore that we built before.
Yeah, it's what did we leave in here as a legacy thing that doesn't exist anymore?
Yeah. And we're just looking through the races, which there's not a ton of races.
No, we did real good catching all our dumb bullshit except for that orc thing.
Yeah. But the races actually look like they're going to function. There's not an overwhelming number, but there's enough for a beta.
Yeah, we got, elf and dwarf and human and gnome and a couple of half-breeds.
Yeah. And so you end up with something like 10 options, which at release, I think 10 options is plenty. So maybe let's see what's going on with heritages. So the idea with the heritage was that you would have certain stats or things, abilities, or quote unquote proficiencies, which we ended up getting rid of proficiency. But
yeah, that's just plus 2 to a stat now.
Yeah. But those exist within the race. So what race you pick affects it. And then heritage is
where you were raised, where you came from.
Yeah. So if you're picking between I want to be an elf but raised by humans, then
elf race, human heritage.
Exactly. And right now we have human heritage, or we have the heritages are pretty much spread across some like basic unique features and some minor stat increases.
Yeah.
Which they all look fine. I think it's probably an issue of whether or not we want to keep them thematically this simple, or if we ended up wanting to flesh them out and turn them into more flavor than stats.
Yeah, it's how much actual mechanical benefit do we want versus how many weird power things do we want you to have.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't mind these just being like minor statistical things.
Yeah.
We're doing so much on talents, taking them away from statistical bonuses like feats would be.
That we can add other minor bonuses wherever.
Yeah.
And not feel about like overloading the player with +1 bonuses.
Yeah. And
because the thing you're going to get to pick the most of really isn't going to have many of those.
No, really, your like statistical bonuses are not, they're not really that prominent. Most of your like, I do more or I have more, i.e. like I do more damage, I have more health, is just going to change as you increase in tier.
Yeah, as you get better.
So, and having talents not really like heavily affect that kind of thing, have them more focused on cool, unique things, means that we're kind of free to make certain things simple. We have professions. So let's assume heritage is going to work fine the way it is, which gives you a little bit of flexibility on how your stats start. And the elven one's obviously really cool because you're getting +1 damage.
Extra ingredients.
And then Orcish gives you +1 damage on non-projectile weapon damage rolls. Or re-roll on ones.
Yeah.
And so instead of +1 damage, we'd re-roll on ones. We may end up changing that to +1. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just to keep it simple. And
especially since we don't have the like +1 feat anymore.
Yeah. I'm okay with orcs doing a little more. Let's +1 damage on non-projectile.
Yeah.
And then the orcs have a weird
treat it as 1 tier higher when you're trying to goad someone into a fight.
Yeah. That's just a weird niche case thing.
Yeah, it's weird,
funny.
but you're really good at shit talk.
Yeah. Dwarves get the Compass Mind feat, which is going to be. I assume we kept that as a talent.
I'm sure we did. I don't remember what feats are in our document, but surely we didn't get rid of that.
Well, I mean, the feats are now like the feats that used to exist are under talents. They're just separated in like a section of.
Yeah, these are
keeps.
old.
We have the new talents we've built in theme, and we have a bunch of old feats.
May get migrated over.
Yeah,
Compass Mind will be one of them.
Yeah, we might as well keep Compass Mind. So I think if we're keeping that, then that will work fine.
So a lot of them, like halfling, giant, human, they're all like +2 to a stat.
Which I don't mind either because I like picking. Like I picked the giant, +2 to rune lore. I mean, you make so many stat checks, and finesse, general knowledge, and rune lore, all great stats.
Yeah. They're all things that you roll a lot.
Yeah. I mean, all of our stats are going to be valuable.
Yeah. It's having plus bonuses to stats is just really nice, which is why we got rid of them for the most part.
Yeah. Because they're too good. And then if you're wanting cool things in the feats/talents.
Yeah. Do I want mechanical benefit or do I want to be able to T-pose and fly?
You're like, if you're a min-maxer, you're going to pick the mechanical benefit
because it makes your character better and the other ones don't necessarily do that.
Yeah.
So we got rid of those.
Yeah. And I would rather people pick cool stuff that make for interesting things happening in the game.
Yeah. And then hustle for boons that give you this sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So professions then. These are older. We never really gave specificity to like what the professions would mechanically give you. We gave like concept for what you might do with them. I don't even know. Like my profession, I think, is scribe.
Yeah.
And I don't think that has come into play at all. I don't know that anyone's profession has fundamentally come into play at all.
Honestly, no, I don't think so.
So here's a thing. Because all of these are kind of, at least the way, maybe not all of them, but quite a few of them are predicated on something the DM will end up doing with this information.
Yeah.
And I don't know that that is a good design. I mean,
philosophy. Yeah. I think we came at it from the wrong direction.
That's what you do when you write character backstory, right? You're giving the DM something to work with from a narrative standpoint. And I think we were thinking that heritage and profession would fill that role. And then heritage, we ended up taking straight stats.
Yeah.
And professions we've looked at as something amorphous. Because some of them, we made some of them prerequisites for talents that I don't even know that we're going to keep.
No.
And, you know, we were talking about maybe some weird, they're all weird interactions. And I don't know that I like it. There doesn't really feel like any
none of them are like, they're all kind of complicated. You have to probably redo those or dump them entirely.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have anything left that really uses them.
We have feats that we don't know if we're going to keep.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
we can
about
always
it.
come up with a different prerequisite.
Yeah. And because other than that, like we were talking about something cool with combining scribe with
And
rune
spell
lore.
scrolls and rune lore, yeah, but like we don't have that.
No, we know that we're going to craft spells, but I don't know that we want to make a profession a prerequisite for that. And I don't know that, because I feel like I want any casters
To be able to do it.
to be able to do it. And I think the capacity to be able to do it better makes more sense to the player, I think, to seed that in a certain like subclass.
Yeah.
Like if we say the scholar, one of the scholar subclasses or classes is he's going to be better at making spell scrolls. And I think that will make sense to the player, and they won't feel like they got to a point in the game where they were like, I didn't realize that I needed, if I really wanted to be good at making spell scrolls, I had to take the scribe profession.
Yeah.
And I think that would be easy for that to happen, and a person be wanting to remake their character to take that. And I think that it's better to be like, okay, well, you picked a magus or an expert, which I think are the two that build into scholar. And you now are like, I want to play a scholar and I want to make spell scrolls.
Yeah, it's like
Then cool.
I'm a fucking Gutenberg press of magic.
Yeah. And I don't feel like you will think you have missed something.
No.
If the only time it matters about that choice comes into play when you're picking your second tier. Yeah.
Allies. We can either get rid of them or come up with new stuff for them to do, and I don't know what they do right now.
Yeah. Okay. So we will mark those as
tentatively obsolete.
Yeah. Okay.
New color in the dock.
Yeah. Well, I think it'll be red because I already have some stuff.
That's like, yeah, okay, we can kind of ignore this whenever we're looking through. It doesn't come up.
Yeah, things that we don't know if we'll keep.
Quick and dirty color coding.
That stuff's looking great.
Yeah.
Because we'll have roll. We've got roll tables for all that. Puzzle encounters, I think we decided to drop.
Yep, it's nothing really good there.
No, don't see a good way to build that. And I'm pretty sure that that's just going to be dependent on your DM and whether or not he wants to try and craft you a puzzle. I mean, you can use our rule set in skills, but puzzles are a very tricky thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know that you can build a rule set that
does all puzzles.
No, and not that a GM can just be like, I'm going to sit here and follow these rules.
Things, and it's always a good puzzle.
No,
because that's what it'd have to be.
Yeah, and I don't know that you're making your own game then, right?
Yeah.
You're making
puzzle game.
And that's not what we want to do.
Simulator.
We don't want to make puzzle game.
Puzzle is a tiny portion of what is fun about games.
Yeah. Social is interesting. I think it's really good. However, I think with social, we're going to, I tell you, if I read it right now, listeners would hear it and they'd be like, whoa, man, I have no clue what you just said.
It's crazy. What?
It's really not complicated, but we're going to have to figure out a different way to present
explain
this.
It. Yeah.
Because right now, I think you read it and you're like, I just heard a lot of words and I'm not sure I understand how it works.
That's so much jargon condensed so compactly.
Yeah. So we'll end up working with...
it's really just how many good rolls can you get to get enough of a number to get what you want. But
yeah, really almost the entirety of it is defining the possible result states.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of words
to say, roll on a chart, see what you get.
And matter of fact, that might be what this comes down to.
Yeah.
Is that if we build a chart with all this information, but in chart form, you would absorb it and be like, I get
quickly.
it. Yeah, it makes sense. I think in written form,
it's rough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excel spreadsheet, here we come.
Yeah. I think that is the real solution to social.
Tables and graphs, baby.
Quite a few of these things will be made a lot easier with tables and graphs.
Absolutely.
Like we get them and I can write it down, but I don't think it can be explained well.
Yeah, it's it's kind of rough to look at it. I know what it means because I built it and know how it works, but whenever Clayton or Jason or our other players get into it, they're gonna have some questions.
Yeah. Okay. So do we like grappling?
I don't remember how grappling works.
You may use your action to perform a grapple when you do make an athletics check. If you succeed, you enter a clinch. And then defining what a clinch is, movement speed reduced to 5 feet if creatures are of equal size. If your movement speed is reduced by being in a clinch, you may also make basic attacks, or you may only make basic attacks or use core abilities. So what's that saying is that if you're large and you grapple a medium, then you have full movement, you have full functionality. If 2 mediums grapple each other, then they both can only make basic attacks. A medium who's grappled by a large can only make basic attacks.
Yes. A small grappling a medium has no movement. They can't move. The medium creature can move fine, but neither of them can use anything more than basic attacks. We have any small creatures? Gnomes and goblins?
I think maybe, we'll probably, I think we have maybe some small monsters.
Yeah.
We've talked about some of that. But I think that what it would be is if a small and a medium grapple, the medium has full functionality.
Yes.
And the small can only make basic attacks and move 5 feet.
Well, I figured both of them would be basic attacks. Because, like, if you have a spider monkey mauling you, it's hard to focus and get a smite off.
And we might do that. We might actually make a special features for them. I don't know. How we've defined it right now currently was if you have a size category advantage, then you're not hindered.
Oh, okay.
Because it was if you're of equal size, which I probably need to rephrase it. But the way that it's currently phrased, what it means is that if you have a size advantage, you're not hindered. If you are equal to or less than the thing you're in grapple with, then you're hindered.
Okay.
And that was for large creatures being able to grapple you and move around with you.
Yeah, I think it may just be your movement speed isn't hindered and keep all the other stuff.
Okay. So you can still move freely, but
you can't get all your regular stuff off because you're distracted.
Yeah. We didn't define core abilities anywhere, but what core abilities are so like fighter can make a basic attack. Wizard can cast a cantrip. So those were considered core abilities, which
is what everybody has in tier 1.
Yeah, which is all you have in tier 1 essentially. But what it means is that when you get to higher level, you won't be able to, like if you're a fighter, you can't use one of your signature attacks. If you're like a weapon master,
you're a mage, you can't cast a spell.
Yeah, you have to. You're reduced in the
capability.
Yeah,
the grappling gets better at higher tiers.
It really does. It actually becomes there's a point to grappling, and that means that if you grapple that spellcaster, he's not doing damage. He just can't do anything real big and scary.
Yeah, no, he can still set people on fire and whatnot, but not as good.
Yeah. So I think that's fine. And then we have a throw mechanic, which I'm fine with.
Yeah.
And then we have a pin mechanic, which treats if you pin, both creatures are restrained, unless you are 2 sizes.
Okay.
So a large would have to be grappling a small, or a huge to a medium to be able to pin and not also be restrained.
Yes.
Which I think is fine.
Yeah, that works for me.
The restrained status it's obvious what it does.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing it does in D&D, pretty much. But for us, what it will mean is that certain abilities, like the Barbarian Execute, will tag to something like restrained. Like if a target is restrained,
you can use your Execute on them.
Yeah.
It's a force multiplier.
Yeah, exactly. Settlements.
Yeah, we did those pretty recently. I feel like they're probably just as good as they were.
Yeah, they're pretty basic. We only built up to tier 1, up to 100 people. I think because in our current gameplay, we're not going to encounter anything larger than that. And because the things that would be available in higher tier settlements we haven't made yet.
Yeah, they don't exist. They're in the ether.
Yeah, like magic items and stuff like that.
Phlogiston in the wind.
Mm-hmm. And then we have monsters. So really, I think with pretty much deleting professions for now, assuming we're going to delete that.
Yeah.
Which we weren't using them anyway. And I don't know that we need them to play the game.
Yeah.
And I think it could be cool if we take, I don't want to delete it from the doc.
No.
Because we might take elements of this.
Yeah, steal it and put it somewhere else or change how they work fundamentally and still keep the names we came up with.
Yeah, I think we could take them in concept, and instead of them being professions you pick at the start of the game, they rather be minor boons.
Oh, yeah.
That you can acquire in
special training.
Yeah, special training.
Your continuing educational units as an adventurer.
Yeah, like we assume that being an adventurer, you became an adventurer for whatever reason, but you were not really an expert at anything already.
Yeah.
If you're tier
an
1...
adventurer is the last gasp of people who are poor.
Yeah, well, and if you're assuming that we're starting at tier 1...
Yeah.
Then... I get it. You know,
awesome.
In D&D, people make characters that have, like I'm starting at level 1 and I'm like leaving a career that I've been working at all my whole life. You can do that if you want, I guess, up to the DM and the particular table you're playing at. But you have to kind of have a bit of suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, like how good at that were you really?
Yeah, because you're really low level. But if we leave something like this as a boon, it gives you something to learn. And it also means that if you're going to start a higher level campaign, where it makes sense that you're retired and you're coming out of retirement, like you're a tier 3 character.
Yeah, I was an adventurer and I've been blacksmithing for the last 10 years.
Yeah, and when you're starting with a character at tier 3, one of those things to flesh that character out is you can give them some boons. Like the DM can be like,
you pick a boon from each tier.
Yeah. And so that means if you want to flesh out that character, you can give them, he was a blacksmith. And so I think these should just become profession boons.
Yeah, I think so. I think that may be the direction we take them.
Yeah. Then we can build them to do something
super cool.
But you actually have to like put work into gaining it.
Yeah, it's like, no, I'm going to go blacksmith some more in my free time and work towards this boon.
Dude, it's the freaking greatest thing to have boons because it gives you an incredible amount of like freedom to make that thing.
Yeah, this is awesome. And you can only get it if the DM says yes.
Exactly. So it means that we can make something like, I don't know, the chef boon, something easy to get, but not super powerful. But the whatever... I don't know, jeweler boon, could be much harder to get, but gives you something much better.
Very cool, like making explodey gems or whatever.
Yeah, and since it's not something that they have to all be in equivalent power because you picked them at the start of the game, means we can make these things that some logically would be easier to learn. We can make them not give you as big of, like Scribe, which I really like the concept of, but like, you have to become like, this is years of training. To do this.
This takes a long time to become a notary public.
Like not just anybody who knows language can become a scribe.
Like of the 10% of people who can read and write in the medieval world.
Yeah, there's even a smaller number that actually can be qualified to do this. Yeah, becoming a guard is much easier than becoming a doctor.
Absolutely. That's why medical school is 6 years and police academy is 6 weeks.
Yeah. I love this change.
Yep. I'm into it.
I'm just going to go ahead and put it here. Profession boons. And we'll work with that. And we'll figure out what these things do. And we'll be able to give them a lot of like ranging power. That's great. Heritages are fine. We know armor's working.
Yeah.
I think
surprisingly well, honestly.
Yeah. Shields, I know we kept simple. I actually don't even know where they're written down, but I know I just listened to the podcast where we talk about shields and we were making them kind of complicated. And we right now just saying they just give 1 DR.
Yeah.
Which I think is fine. And what we can do a little bit later is we can craft maybe either magic shields or masterwork shields.
Yeah.
That could have like one of the unique functions we talked about. But keeping starter shields as just 1 DR.
Yeah.
You're giving up the ability to use a weapon in 2 hands.
And you're getting a point of resistance for that.
Yeah. Everything else here, I think, feels...
And did we get tier 1 done and not know it?
I think we got it done and didn't know it because I knew we were going to have to go through some stuff that wasn't probably finished. I didn't realize that really all it was is professions
Yeah.
needed to be changed into boons.
Developmental process.
Yeah. There's some things that we would want that will come online in tier one we haven't made. Like probably certain basic magic items, potions, drinkable potions. We haven't really defined some of these simple things.
Yeah. Like simple magic items and stuff.
Yeah. Consumables, simple consumables and simple magic items that would be probably available.
Yeah.
But other than that, things are looking pretty solid. Oh, is there anything else we need to talk about in body and mind?
Honestly, I don't think so. I think it's as good as it's going to be right now.
Yeah.
Like, I think we're going to have to get in some like higher tier play before we know whether it really works good or not. Because it's working fine at tier 1 right now.
Yeah. So we leave the stat layout the way it is. And we have progression in it.
Yep.
Through increasing in tier.
Yes.
That's our current plan. And then what? Possibility in boon?
Yeah. It's boons and class progression are how you increase your stats after you make your character.
Okay. Well, I guess we might be able to announce that tier 1's finished.
Look at that. Released our first podcast, finished tier 1. What a coincidence.
Huh. Well, I guess we're here now. Okay, so then let's talk about some basic magic items and consumables, what those might look like.
Yeah.
And the only other thing will be to start on probably tier 2 of classes.
Yeah.
So
we need healing potions, definitely.
Obviously, we need healing potions. All right. So we've got a consumable section, a magic item section. First consumable will be healing potion.
The health potion. Come on down.
Basic health potion. Or let's maybe call it simple. Simple health potion. Okay, now of course, if anyone's listened to this so far, they know that healing, you're always going to heal at the end of combat.
Yeah.
Up to full. And of course, wounds affect this. But the idea of having a health potion would be something that you would use in combat to heal immediately.
Yes.
So we've talked a little about this concept, and we've talked about also the possibility of healing within certain spells. There's a possibility that we don't want simple health potions at all, or just a flat healing, but possibly harder to get health potions that are about fixing wounds. And we went back and forth on this conversation once, and we never ended up landing on anything. We moved on from it.
Yeah, because my thoughts are healing potions are either like really minor, like a D6, or they're like half your health.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's much like in between where they'd be useful, because they're either like really good and you want them, but they're hard to get, or they're everywhere and they're not that useful.
Well, but okay. So let's think about, my character has like 12 HP.
Yeah.
I think. So that would either be making it is 6 or it's a D6.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, honestly,
I mean, 6 HP is not like, we just made it 6.
Yeah. Well, it's not.
Or 5, maybe.
Yeah, maybe just 5.
Heal 5 HP, or it's 5 HP in combat, or if you take it out of combat, you are treated as being cared for when you take a rest. Like the orc has. That
would be, I think, so it doesn't just remove a wound, but you're treated as cared for. It's basically like health potions
are doctors in a bottle.
Yeah. And so if you have a few health potions, you can fairly quickly recover. But it's medicine, and you're taking it a few days in a row. So you
like they're good. Like if you go down and somebody can pour a health potion down you while you're in combat still, you can get back up and not take a wound. But if you're like, get beaten up, because you get a wound. Oh, no. Does it wound every time you drop to 0 now?
So the way that we had it is you drop to 0, and so we've had a few different features we messed with, and we had feats that allowed for the possibility of not you not gaining a wound.
Yes.
But those feats might be on the chopping block.
I think so.
In our talent section, I think those might go.
Yeah, I think that stuff goes in the boon category.
So if that goes, then we don't have a like built-in selectable mechanic at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
That would allow you to avoid getting a wound when you reach 0.
Okay, because what I couldn't remember if it was every time you reach 0 or if you end combat while you're at 0. I think it's the latter.
The way that we have it right now, it's when you end combat, if you're unconscious, then you get a wound.
Okay, so yeah, I think if you make them like 5 HP or whatever, so it's enough at low levels that it's like worth it to drink one, even in the middle of a fight.
Yeah.
Like you're not, because, that's almost Clayton's max HP.
Yeah. And if you go down in combat, the question becomes...
And, if they go up by 5 each tier, so a tier 2 health potion would be 10, tier 3, 15, and tier 4, 20. They're always a pretty significant chunk of HP.
Yeah. Well, okay. I think we will end up needing to give a little thought to whether or not we want tier 1 health potions to keep you from getting a wound. Now, I understand we have this like whether or not they'll get you up. Like if you're unconscious, will a health potion wake you?
Yeah.
And I don't know if we want a tier 1, because if it wakes you and we say that you only get a wound if you're at 0 at the end of combat, that is saying that the potion can like just straight up subvert the wound altogether.
Well, but it's also spending action economy in the middle of a fight.
It is. It is.
Especially if we make them like, like if it's a full round action to feed somebody a potion.
Yeah, that does help make it like risk.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't want...
Because you'll be like next to them, and if somebody hits you with a target and all adjacent, you're hosed.
Yeah. It is. It's a weird thing to look at it and say, but okay, so here's another issue. Then do you get into this gameplay loop where you're specifically killing enemies down to where there's only one enemy, and you want to make sure that like you're playing, keep that one guy alive so that we're still in combat so that I can feed this guy
I think
a
in
potion.
that case, the DM is encouraged to have that one guy run away and end combat.
Yeah.
Because he'll get a turn before you get to go again.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to create a weird...
niche.
Yeah, I don't want to create something that you're like, oh, well, the best way to exploit this is to do this
so I gotta
weird...
get in this little corner and work on the hitboxes.
Yeah, I don't want to make the ideal gameplay unimmersive.
Yes.
So I question whether or not...
Okay, so maybe the first tier isn't health back. Maybe it's if you feed them a wound or a potion, they don't take a wound at the end of combat. They're still down, but they won't end up with a wound at the end if you spend your action giving them a health potion. So
a health potion, well, it could be either.
Oh, yeah?
It could be that if you take it and you're conscious, it gives you health back. If you're unconscious, it means you won't get a wound at the end of combat.
I like that.
So that it doesn't do both, pick you up and subvert the wound. Interesting. But then if you wait until the end of combat and take it, then you're treated as cared for.
Yes. So it'd basically be a downtime thing. So it's more effective the sooner you take it.
What if it doesn't? What if it doesn't prevent you from getting a wound?
Okay.
So maybe let's say that there's not good reason to feed an unconscious person a health potion. Okay. Let's talk about like removing that as a gameplay loop. You're not going to feed an unconscious person.
Yeah, if you get it there, you're too late.
So they could get health back in combat.
Yeah.
So it can be used, and maybe these are two different potions. I don't know. If we use it this way, we can have basically something that's like, this is cocaine. Okay, you took it and you feel better now. Ow. It didn't fix you, but you feel better now.
A stim.
It's a stim, right? And then another potion that you drink.
Yeah.
And what it means is when you take your next long rest, your wound is gone. So that you recover from your wound at your next long rest.
Yeah. Well, I like because being cared for gets rid of a wound, right?
Yes, it does. It does.
But I like tying it into that.
Days. Okay. but treating
because
it as
that
cared
way,
for.
like if you get a disease or whatever, not just hurt, you end up with a condition where you have to be cared for. They're also still useful.
Okay. So cared for. So it won't remove it. Then taking this potion won't remove the wound immediately. But let's see. I have cared for. Okay. Oh, yeah. So it is. 1 long rest while under care removes 1 wound.
Oh, perfect.
So it would work in exactly how I was describing it.
Yeah. Perfect.
So yeah, we'll have a potion so that instead of having to wait 3 long rests while not under care, you're going to get it back in 1. And that is totally worth buying.
100%.
If you get a wound in the field, you would much rather have to take 1 long rest than knowing that the next 3 before it recovers.
Yes. And then we can have like a health stem.
Yeah.
That gives you HP back.
Yes. I like that.
Health potions are like heal you over a long period of time, help stave off disease, that kind of thing.
So, simple health potion. You are treated as cared for through your next long rest.
Yes.
So that will solve a variety of issues. And then stem.
Yes.
We're just going to call it stem.
Yep, that's what we're calling it.
And a stem gives you 5 HP immediately.
Yep.
Do we want it to do anything else?
No, I think the question is whether it's an action or a bonus action or quick action.
Okay. So we had a house rule.
Yeah, that's quick action for you, regular action for other people.
Yeah. Oh, well, it was also that you rolled if you took it as a quick action, and you got the maximum if you did it as an action. I don't know if that's the same here.
No, because we're not really rolling for them.
Yeah, we're defining it as not rolling right now, although we could roll it.
Yeah, I think that I'd rather just have it as 5 because that's an easy number to add and subtract.
Okay.
I'm going to stem you, give you 5 HP back, and then I'm going to go back to my thing.
Yeah. Okay, I'm fine with that. So I think it should just always be a quick action.
Yes.
For either way, whether you're doing it to yourself or someone else. And I say that because it means, no, you're not sacrificing damage. But you are sacrificing resource gain.
Yep. Agreed.
And I like sacrificing resource gain to do anything.
Yep.
But you're always getting to do damage. And I like because that keeps the game moving faster.
Yep. It gives you, your action's more versatile. You're giving up resource gain. I think that's a good balance. Man, we're nailing this.
Okay. So now the question comes into play since we're doing it like this. So I have stem gives 5 HP immediately, quick action to use on self or willing adjacent creature is what I put.
Yeah.
So of course, if you wanted to give it to an unwilling creature, you might have to make a check.
Yeah.
Like an athletics or finesse check.
You gotta stick them.
I feel like that's
like
niche
a junkie
case.
with a needle.
That's niche case, but it gives a GM can figure that out.
You may be using these to kill minor undead.
Yeah, a GM can figure that out and define what they need to do. I think I might end up writing athletics finesse check to do it. But anyway, another question comes in, which now talks about, of course, when you acquire a wound.
Yes.
So if you acquire a wound when you hit 0,
yes.
Since currently we've removed all mechanisms that would prevent it anyway.
Yes.
Except for we might have boons or something later that would allow for it.
Yeah.
But I think it's better to have general rule says you get a wound when you reach 0. And then we can have niche case since there's no going to be general function.
Yeah.
But the question would then say, if you did use a stem on a fallen ally, do they have a wound? Can you use it on a fallen ally to get them up? Can you like weigh risk of saying this person's wounded? I'm going to stem them back up to 5 HP. They have a wound and they might get a second wound.
Yeah. I don't know. Because I like limiting to only 1 wound per combat.
Okay.
So maybe they just don't work on unconscious people.
Okay.
They don't work on downed allies or downed creatures.
So I could put willing adjacent conscious.
Yeah, well, I think I would just add does not work on downed creatures.
It does not work on
like if you want to like raise somebody who's been beaten up badly enough to go unconscious, you need something stouter than this.
Yes.
So that way you can't like beat an enemy down and then stem them to get them back either.
Yeah. Okay. So I like that then. Yeah, it means that you do actually have to worry about non-lethal options.
Yeah, it'll take the non-lethal option. I just beat them like mostly to death and stim them.
I mean, though, also that is kind of
hilarious.
Cool. I don't hate that.
Yeah, that's
either.
probably like a boon that lets you use it on downed creatures.
Okay, I feel like we should think about that a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something that like maybe lets you do that eventually.
Because you are looking at, I mean, the good guy trying to subdue someone. I don't even know that I hate just letting someone use it that way.
Yeah.
Because the good guy is going to rely on non-lethal options.
Yeah, ideally.
The bad cop is going to kill that person
and then stim him back to life.
And that is like obviously not the good guy way to solve this problem.
Why does Batman have so many stims? Well,
he beats people to the near death state.
He beats them half to death twice.
All right.
I don't hate that. We can let that in because it seems cooler.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty easy to die in this game anyway.
So I could leave it written the way that it is, which is quick action to use on self or willing adjacent creature. And an unconscious creature can't be unwilling, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's an unconscious creature is always treated as willing.
Yeah.
Unlike
I don't
the
know
real world.
That. I don't know that I want to write that. I think that sends a bad message.
Applicable only to games.
Yeah. Please don't use this in real life.
This specific piece of advice is not applicable to IRL situations.
Oh, man.
Game mechanics, people, Jesus.
Gosh. Yeah. This is why I always tick our podcast as explicit.
Yes.
It's
games for adults. Wait.
Yeah. I mean, it is, but also not what I meant.
Oh, anyway, health potions and stims.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I do too.
I do like, now that we've talked about it, I do like the idea of beating a goblin unconscious and then stimming him back. It's very on brand for our current party.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, we are making it for us.
Yeah,
so
they're going to really enjoy that.
We're going to abuse the heck out of that.
Absolutely, you are.
But I don't hate it.
No, this guy's like, I have a new mission. To watch you kill those stupid goblins now, you monsters. I told you I was better than you.
Yep. Okay, so that's fun. I'm trying to think. There was something else here that I started thinking of, like use case. Which was, it does have to do with the fact that we were talking about wounds. Because if we do let it be used on down creatures, then you have that person getting back up. So I understand where you're coming from with the idea of not gaining multiple wounds in a combat. However,
no, I think being like that's enough of a upside.
Yeah,
especially if we make them like relatively easy to make.
Yeah, I think that the risk of getting a second wound could exist, but it also, here's the issue. I think that generally, up to the DM, of course, the particular GM that's running the game, I think in general it should be treated as when parties go down, you either capture them or, depending on the type of enemy, it might just leave them.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is, and you give them one wound. However, nothing about how, and specifically how we've written the game, is that you may have no wounds and your character can die in that combat.
Yeah.
If it's a boss enemy or you have a lot of narrative buildup and generally I would recommend a GM.
Yeah, what's the Matt Colville phrase? He steps on your head to make sure you're dead.
Yeah, the stone golem crushes your head to make sure you're dead. So, I would generally recommend a GM have had some way to inform the players that they're entering a really dangerous scenario.
This is a fight for your lives.
But I don't have a problem with the possibility that an enemy has the capacity to kill you if you're down.
And, we can play this way and see if it feels way too lethal. I mean, even you guys haven't gone down that much. Clayton.
No one's gone down.
Yeah.
No one's gotten a wound.
Clayton made it out of there with 1 HP.
He did. He made it out with 1 HP.
And then tortured that goblin to death.
And So I think that's actually fine. I think we make the stems fairly cheap and we make the health potions fairly expensive.
Yeah.
Not unobtainable.
Well, no, I think you could probably make both of those yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Just the health potion is a much harder gather herbs check.
Yeah, or that you could make a couple of stems
or one health potion with the same amount of herb gathering effort.
Yeah. I wouldn't want the health potions to become so prevalent that they're easy.
Yeah.
Because I want you to face the scenario every once in a while that you either you got to spend money.
Yeah.
Or something or time and deal with your wound. And of course, but being treated as care for it and you not being able to remove it still means that for the rest of that adventuring day, if you get another wound, even if you drink the potion, you're now 3 days to remove that wound. Because we have it defined that when you have 2 wounds,
you have a grievous wound.
You have a grievous wound, and it takes 3 days of being cared for. So even if you drink this potion, when you have a wound for that day, you now are wounded, and you have to be careful for the rest of that day.
You are minutes from death at any moment.
Yeah, you could quickly have a problem. So I don't mind that progression. I also don't want it to be incredibly easy to remove a wound in one day.
Yeah. I don't need good magic for that.
Yeah, I want these potions to, like I say, either cost a decent amount of money or it makes a decent amount of effort to craft them.
Yeah.
So that they're available, but not so available that you're like, well, we're just sitting on a mountain of these.
Yeah.
And we can always use
health
one.
Potions like I have health potions in Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
I'm sitting on 138 of these things.
Yeah, I don't want that. So we'll figure out what ends up being the balance.
Yeah. I don't know. It's off the top of my head. It's like an hour and a successful medicine check gets you enough to make
an hour of gathering.
Yeah, an hour of gathering gets you enough to make 1 health potion or 3 stems.
And how long does it take to make one? Do you think that you have to brew it over a rest?
Yeah, you make them over a long rest. That's a downtime
it's
thing.
It's a part of a downtime.
These.
Yeah. So you have to spend
That's just what you say you do during downtime.
Yeah. And then if you're an elf, you gather twice as much.
Yeah.
Do we assume that you can only make, unless you have something special, that you can only make either 1 health potion in a downtime or whatever, 2 stems in a downtime or 3?
Yeah, it's 1 health potion per person brewing.
Yes.
So if you have, your party members want to assist you, you could make 4 of them if your party has 4 people in it and you didn't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
But that's your downtime.
Yeah.
You spent all night doing that. All of you. You didn't get anything else done.
Yeah. Okay. I think I like that.
Cool.
We will need to, I'll just go ahead and throw a crafting section here.
Yeah. All those quasi-magical items, you think?
I had just put them down as consumables.
Okay. Yeah, we can work on consumables.
Because magic items will probably have, we'll have to figure out how to,
flaming sword, stuff like that.
Well, and they'll have to have probably multiple categories for types of magic items. I don't know if we'll just separate them by tier.
Yeah.
Because D&D separates magic items in no way by use.
Oh.
And only by tier. So you can have simple magic items that are consumables or simple magic items that are persistent effect items.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I love that.
Not really.
I feel like consumables should be their own section and persistent.
Yeah, these are tier 1 consumables.
Persistent items should be their own section.
Yeah.
And there is magic in consumables.
Yeah.
But
well, that's sort of why I was thinking quasi-magic items, because we may have non-magical consumables. I don't know what those would be, but
poisons wouldn't have to be magical.
Yeah.
But to be honest,
yeah, no, we can just put them all as consumables.
These wouldn't have to be magical either.
Yeah. They're not enchanted or anything.
No, the idea is you're taking ingredients.
Yeah, they probably have some extra juicy magical herbs in them, but that's not.
This is more of just
they're as mundane as anything else in a fantasy world.
Well, really, they are. Because if you think about it, what is this? These are sort of like things that exist in real life.
Yeah.
But they're a little more effective. it's no more, a stim is no more effective than taking cocaine.
Yeah, except, if cocaine made you stop bleeding too.
Yeah. But if you're going to be like, I didn't want to fight that guy, and then he took cocaine, and I think he's more dangerous now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like cocaine and an antibiotic all in one.
Yeah. And so they're sort of truthy, but efficient for a game.
Yeah.
So I don't even know that I'd call them per se magical.
Okay.
Certainly not like a flaming sword is.
No.
At tier 1, I don't know that we need anything else immediately. So at tier 1, I don't know. I mean, we could probably add a couple more things, but I feel like fundamentally this covers the issue unless we come up with like antidote.
Yeah.
And poison.
Yeah. And I don't know how those would work right now. I guess we could, but
I don't know that we want to add too many, because the simple health
I think we already have poisoned as a condition, so I think a poison is just a thing that does that.
Yeah, probably. But since this simple health potion treats you as cared for, that kind of is a blanket resolve all sorts of issues that could potentially arise.
Yeah.
It's like a cure-all potion.
Yeah, basically. Panacea.
Yeah. So we could have a consumable that grants you resource.
Oh, that'd probably be a tier 2 one, though.
Yeah. I don't know that we want anything that early, but I feel like
you just don't have resource at tier 1.
That's true. You don't. But I feel like that could be a consumable we craft.
Yeah, I think it's probably one for the future once we know more about how resource works and what an equitable number for that thing to give you is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that requires greater playtesting.
Yeah, we gotta do some stuff on tier 2, which we can start on now. I mean, not now, but soon.
Yeah, soon. Okay, so we'll have crafting for simple health potion and crafting for a stem. Do we want to go ahead and put a poison on here?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and put poison.
We could have 2 types of poison potentially.
Yeah.
One that gives you the status and one that does some damage.
I think I just want the status.
Okay.
Because, most of the poisons that will do damage to you just kill you.
Yeah, that would be the point.
Anything that, hurts you is going to kill you immediately or make you sick. It's not like I can't really think of anything that's in between.
Not really functionally.
Yeah.
It ends up kind of being useless, especially in a game where you just get HP back.
Yeah.
Poisoned reduces your max HP.
Yeah.
So that's actually good. And so we have poisoned
That's basically
1.
damage.
Yeah, poisoned 1. Well, it's better than damage because it sticks with you. Which is good. So poisoned 1 in our conditions tree, we put reduce max HP, but we didn't decide on how much it reduces your max HP. Do you think it should be a flat number or a percentage?
Oh man, half would be really mean, wouldn't it?
That'd be really mean. Well, and then if you had a tier 2 wound and
you'd
got
be at
poisoned,
a quarter.
you'd be, I guess if you treated it that way.
Right.
But technically you wouldn't. So in the definition of 2 things reducing you by half your max HP,
Yeah.
I guess it depends on how you interpret the math of that.
Yeah, is it like the D&D 2 doublings equals a tripling?
Because if your max is still, it would be 100%. But I guess not. If we treat it as a true max reduction, then we would say that it would be reduced by half and then reduced by half of that half.
Yeah.
The new number is the max you're looking at. Yeah.
I think that's still really shitty.
Yeah. So, flat number means that it's much worse to be poisoned if you're a mage than if you're a fighter.
Yeah.
And do we want it to be that way?
I mean, we could do like we originally were thinking for the health potions is 5, 10, 15, 20. That's a pretty solid number through the whole thing.
Reduced by 5 is awful for the mage. And
an elf wizard has 2 HP.
Reduced by 5 for like Jason's character,
Sure.
I think, has 17.
Yeah, like 16, 17, something like that.
Like something like that,
Like,
which
that
is
sucks, but he's still as beefy as you are.
just about. If he's 16, he's one less.
Less.
So, I don't know if I love the concept of. I mean, what's the lowest possible starting health?
7.
Is
Elf
it
Wizard.
Elf Wizard is the lowest
Yeah,
possible
because a
starting
wizard
health.
is 4, elf is 3.
There's nobody that has a 3 that would put you at 1.
No, I don't think so, because I think Magus is the lowest at 4 HP.
Yeah. Magus definitely is the lowest there.
And I don't think anybody has 2 HP. I think Elf is the lowest at 3, so I think 7.
You're right. So 7 is the lowest, which would mean a poisoned mage is at 2 HP.
Yeah, you really got to make sure you're at basically full health if you get poisoned as a mage.
Gosh.
That's why everybody kills wizards by poisoning their food.
Ooh. Okay. I think not 5 or poisoned 1.
Yeah.
Because this is the first tier of being poisoned. And if we want 4 tiers, 5, 10, 15, 20 sounds like excruciating. Do we want it that bad?
I think poison should be pretty shitty. I think being poisoned should be awful. You don't want to be poisoned.
Okay. I'm fine. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And if we decide we have to roll it back a little bit, we can.
I just really want to see Clayton's face when he realizes he's stuck with 2 HP till he long rests.
Oh, awful. But luckily, 1 wound no longer reduces your max HP.
Yeah.
He'd be at 1.
Cut your max HP in half. I'm literally a trip and fall away from death.
Jeez, that's terrible. But the cool part is we've got a mystic.
Yes.
Mystics can remove tier 1 conditions with a wave of their hands.
Yeah, go away, poison. I fix you.
The fact that it is that accessible to the mystic makes me feel not as bad about it.
Yeah.
It is simply removed.
Boy, all those people who don't have a mystic in their party.
Gosh.
Oh man, Clayton's going to be so nice to you the first time that happens to him. I could fix this. I'm not, but I could.
Real simple. All right. We'll figure out how you might apply poison.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that poison can either be drank or can be like bladed, if you will.
Yeah.
You can apply poison to a weapon.
Yeah.
And the single next attack you make with it will apply that poison.
Yes.
Or drinking it applies it. And a weapon hit, you have to make like a body check against it. Where there's more like
it's
if you apply
easier
it to a weapon,
get it applied. It's just auto there if they drink it.
Yeah.
But if you stick them with a knife, you put some slime on.
They might or might not get it.
Yeah.
And that's probably, it's more realistic.
Yeah, it feels fair.
If you drink a poison. You have the poison. If you get cut
it's
with
in you.
Yeah. If you get hit with a weapon that is poisoned,
you may not get like enough of a dose to poison you.
Yeah, and I think that for a simple poison for sure makes sense. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we made some good progress.
I think so.
We have really gotten a chance to reanalyze this, come up with a few things that we were missing for some simple gameplay. The next thing to work on, I think, is probably magic items.
Yep.
Because we do want some more of those, maybe a few more consumables that will flesh out tier 1 for some playability. And then I think we should go ahead and move on to tier 2 features.
I think so.
So
I know what we're going to be talking about on Thursday.
Yep. Next session, we will introduce some. Well, introduced tier 2.
Yeah.
We introduced tier 2 in like episode 1.
Yeah, we started talking about that.
Because that's just where we were at in theory crafting.
Yeah.
But now we're going to go back and really look at tier 2.
Dive in now that we know how tier 1 works. And
like for real. We know how all the base mechanics work.
It plays, it works as a game.
Yep. So next session, we'll talk about tier 2.
Hell yeah. Catch y'all on the flip side.